not only do they lose Gerrit Cole, they've lost Luis Heel probably for 3 months. Probably. Could be longer. So now your starting rotation is Max Fried, number 1, Carlos Rodon, number 2, a combination of Clark Schmidt and Stroman, 3 or 4, and then Will Warren or Carlos Carrasco. I mean, really. Now, I was just on with Chris and Bart, and Chris told me a fascinating stat, that the line for the Yankees winning the American League and getting to the World Series has hardly moved with the loss of Cole. Now, remember, they're also without Stanton. We have no idea if or when Stanton's going to come back. No idea. No Cole, no Heel, no Stanton, no change in the odds of getting to the World Series. Now, in my mind, winning the American League became a lot tougher. But what Vegas is telling us, not what I'm telling you, what Vegas is telling you is the American League is terrible. Now, I don't think it's as bad as they're making it out to be, because I think the Orioles are a good team. They're a good team. The Red Sox have the potential to be a good team. I don't think they're at that level right now, but I think they have the potential to be a good team. Toronto is better than it was last year. I'm not quite sure how good they are. If they had gotten Bregman, that would have been a big pickup for them. If they had gotten Alonso, it would have been a big pickup for them. They had some pickups. Santander. They built up the bullpen with Hoffman. All of that. I see what they did. And then Tampa Bay, I never discount Tampa Bay. Sorry, I don't. I won't do it. Because they're so smart and they make the most out of nothing. But the fact that the odds have not moved, if you look at the American League West, the team I think that's the best in the West is the Texas Rangers. Because you're going to have Jacob deGrom back. And they had an off year last year. I don't think they're going to have an off year again this year. Their pitching is much, much better. Their bullpen, worries me a little bit. Houston has winning DNA, but they're going to take a step back too. No Kyle Tucker. That's a big, big deal. No Alex Bregman. Also a big deal. You're putting Jose Altuve in left field. I mean, that's a tough thing for a guy who's played second base his whole life to be in left field, and he does not have a good arm. Now, that will not impact them at home, but in a game at Yankee Stadium, the Yankees should run on Altuve every single time they have a chance. He has a bad arm. That's why he wasn't good at second base of late. His defensive skills have deteriorated. He's still a really, really good hitter. The Central doesn't scare me. The Central never scares the Yankees, whether it's the Twins or the Guardians, then Kansas City. None of those teams, as presently constituted, are going to scare the Yankees if they face them in the playoffs. So yesterday, I felt that the Yankees did take a hit on being the favorite to win the American League. But Vegas tells us it's not as much of a hit as you would feel if you're in the middle of panic. It's going to be hard to convince me, though, who's seen a lot of this over his years, that losing Heel and losing Cole is not going to have an impact. I mean, I've seen Marcus Stroman. Marcus Stroman might give them a good first half. What's going to happen in the second half? Anybody that the Yankees try to trade for, any team is going to hold up the Yankees. There's always a premium for the Yankees. They always have to pay a quote-unquote Yankee tax, right? Well, now you're going to get Yankee tax on top of the fact that they know that the Yankees are desperate. So how do the Yankees win? Why is Vegas not that concerned? I'll tell you. It comes down to this. They have a really good bullpen. I guess their offense, people think, is going to be pretty good. I still reserve the right to see who's going to protect Judge. But the offense could put up some runs. They're going to have to score a lot of runs. Now, you could say, well, they're not a great offensive team. Well, last year they were. Now, they don't have Soto. But they have added Bellinger. And we'll see if that makes a difference. They added Goldschmidt, which was a position that was a black hole for the Yankees the last couple of years. They didn't get any offense out of that at all. So we'll see. They have Chisholm at second. He's better defender than Torres, although Torres had a great second half and a good postseason last year. And then third base is a huge question mark. So they expect they're going to have to get great things out of Volpe. He's going to have to take that next step offensively. He can't have an on-base percentage under 300. He's better than that. Austin Wells is going to have the first half of the year for the whole year. He can't collapse like he did in the second half. And Jason Dominguez becomes a very important part of this team. Very important part. And of course, there's Aaron Judge. But one thing that I find interesting, and I brought this up with Bart and Carlin, I thought about this, and I don't even know the answer to it, so I want to throw it out to you, all of our listeners, my co-host, 1-800-919-3776. If the Yankees had signed Juan Soto, which they wanted to do, right? They offered 16 years, $760 million. The Mets offered 15 years, $765, with an option that kicks in after the fifth year that takes the contract up to 15 years, $810 million. Both teams wanted him for whatever reason. You could say money. You could say, as Darryl Strawberry said yesterday, he had to get out of the shadow of Aaron Judge. He liked the cut of their jib better. I don't know. He's a Met. And the Yankees pivoted, and everybody celebrated their pivot, and I think it deserves to be celebrated. But their main pivot after they lost on Soto was to go out and get Max Fried. Now, Max Fried, after everything that's happened over the last couple of weeks, is now the Yankees' number one starter. He's their ace. So I ask all of you, would you rather have had the Yankees sign Soto and not sign Fried, and the same thing that happened, and you'd be going into the 2025 season with Carlos Rodon as your ace? Or would you rather have Max Fried as your ace, Carlos Rodon as number two, and no Soto? Now, I'm just talking about 2025 because over the long haul, I will tell you this, I'd rather have Soto over the long haul. But for the short term, is it better for them this year to have Fried than to have had Soto and not make any of the other moves, not make the Bellinger move, not make the Devin Williams move, and obviously not make the Max Fried move? It's kind of fascinating. It's a fascinating case study. Is Fried more important to the 2025 Yankees than Soto would have been to the 2025 Yankees? So the Yankee offense, you could argue, would have been better. Their defense would not be as good because Judge would still be in center, where he was a below-average center fielder. Soto would be in right, where he's a below-average right fielder. Please don't tell me that he finished in the top 3 in Gold Glove. I watched every game. He's not a good right fielder. And Jason Dominguez would be your left fielder. But your opening day starter, your horse, the guy that you would depend on to win all the big games and match up against all the best pitchers, would be Carlos Rodon. I'll give you my answer. I also want to hear from you, but I'll give you my answer. I think I'd rather have Soto. Because he's so generational that they would figure things out with the pitching. Maybe they would make a deal. Maybe they'd be more apt to make a deal for a big-time pitcher like an Alcantara or Cease, or even bring back Michael King. I think they would be forced to do something where they would not go into the season with Rodon as the number one. But I can't turn down the opportunity to have a great player like Soto in the lineup. Again, the ramifications are your pitching's weaker and your defense is weaker. Which would you go with? That's the question, everybody. 1-800-919-3776. There are some financial ramifications when it comes to the Cole injury. And we're going to have Buster Only on at 1:30 to tell us those ramifications. But now I want to hear from you. 1-800-919-3776. And we will start with Rashid in the Bronx. Rashid, what's up?
1-800-919-3776.
Rashid, Michael K. here. You're on the air.
Okay.
How you doing, bud?
Hey, how you doing? Good afternoon. All right, so to answer your question,
definitely having Freed for this situation is definitely the better choice because no matter how good your offense is, your offense would be a lot better with Stanton. Oh no, not Stanton. Sorry, not with Stanton. With Soto protecting Judge. Yes, it'll be a lot better. But if you have no starting pitching, and you put, I know the bullpen is a lot better with Evan Williams, but if you put too much pressure on your bullpen, it's going to be a complete disaster. But I do have a quick question for you too, as well. Yeah.
No.
So, do you think it was wise for the Yankees to not give up Hill for Tucker? Because, like you said earlier, who's protecting Judge this season?
Well, first of all, it wasn't just Heel. They wanted more. They probably wanted Lombard or they wanted Jason Dominguez. So you're gonna get the top prospect Lombard, and we thank you for the phone call. And now, I mean, it's very, very clever of everybody to like jump on the Yankees and second guess why didn't they give up Heel? The Yankees didn't know he'd blow out his lat. Wouldn't you like to have Heel right now if he was healthy? Wouldn't he be pretty important to this team? Listen, I love Kyle Tucker. That's the guy I wanted them to go after, and they tried. But this team is older. Stanton is older. Judge is getting older. At some point, you have to incorporate young players, which they're trying to do with Dominguez. They're trying to do with third base, and they want to eventually do with Lombard. Lombard might be your everyday third baseman next year. People in baseball love him. They think he's an absolute stud. Now, I'm going to give you some behind-the-scenes radio, everybody. So we moved into a new studio, which is gorgeous. But there are some problems right now with the phone system where when we put you on hold, you're not hearing the radio station. So after you talk to my producer, Ray Dinahan, the next voice you're going to hear is mine. So you got to turn down the radio. I know you're listening to the radio, and it becomes a constant thing of you not knowing that you're on the air. So those are the rules of engagement right now. You're not hearing the radio station on hold. Now, eventually, that will be taken care of. But I just want you to know, don't be alarmed. The next voice you hear is going to be mine. It's going to be mine. Let's go to Raphael in Washington Heights. Raphael. Hello, buddy.
Yes, hi.
How you doing? You're on the air.
Okay.
You're on the air.
Okay, hi. Hi, Michael. Hey. I would like to the Yankees should have kept Soto, because I never worry about the pitching. Somehow the Yankees always figured out about the pitching. But if this Soto would have been a better offense, because I don't trust the offense right now, how they construct it right now.
Well, obviously,
the other team.
No, with Soto, and we thank you for the phone call, with Soto, the offense is better. Now, if you get 70% of the production that Soto had with Bellinger, do you feel the same way? Because, again, if you got Soto, one of the Yankee strengths right now is the bullpen. If you got Soto, you would not have Devin Williams. You would not have Max Fried. You probably wouldn't even have Bellinger. So those three guys were acquired as the pivot after they lost Soto. So that's the way the question has to be framed. Soto, a lesser bullpen, a lesser starting rotation, and worse defense, or no Soto, an excellent bullpen led by one of the top two closers in all of baseball, is either he or Clase, a guy who has something to prove in Bellinger. I think you probably would have had Goldschmidt even if you had Soto, because you need a first baseman. That's why when I thought of this driving in, I thought it was such a fascinating question, because Soto's such a generational player that you just don't dismiss it. You can't just say, oh, yeah, I want Max Fried, because they need Max Fried right now. But one thing that this injury to Cole has told all of us, I don't know if baseball will ever learn its lesson, though. Giving Max Fried 8 years, too many, especially at his age.